Good Shabbos. As you heard from the list that we read, this has been yet another difficult week. It's hard to believe it's been 11 weeks since October 7th, day 78 after the attack from Hamas. This week's Torah portion, Vayigash, continues in the story of Joseph. But we've moved on from childish dreams, from technical or dream coats, as our portion opens with the impassioned plea of Judah to his brother, second in command in Egypt, Joseph. The portion's name, Vayigash, the opening word means, and he approached. As Judah approaches Joseph, who he thought was a foreign political leader with the political prowess to effect change, Judah pleads for his family and shows how the brothers have learned from their mistakes, their discord. They've transformed and changed, now united for good. Here we have a son pleading for the release of his brother so that his elderly father can see the family reunited once again. And that is just what we are seeing and feeling right now when we hear the impassioned pleas of hostage family members to bring them all home now. When their stories are shared on the news, on our feeds, on social media, and we share their stories with our neighbors, our colleagues, our family, and friends. Most years we focus on the Torah's story of a personal plea for justice, a personal transformation and change. When Judah stands up for what he believes is just and right, gathering the inner courage to speak his truth and emphasize that Vayigash, that his approach is a clarion call to action. But our portion, Vayigash, doesn't always have quite the same meaning as it does this year following October 7th. Judah stands up and offers himself as a prisoner, as a hostage, in exchange for the safe release of his younger brother Benjamin, as so many of the Israeli hostage families have pleaded for their young children, for their elderly parents and others to be released, and for them to be in their place. So how do we approach this moment, day 78, 11 weeks, when our brothers and sisters remain in captivity, with still no visits from humanitarian aid organizations held by Hamas terrorists in Gaza, fearing abuse, God forbid, rape and torture? For we know that many of the released Israeli hostages have been sexually assaulted in captivity. And perhaps that opening word of our portion, the name of our portion, Vayigash, is the answer. The Midrash, the rabbis say that the word Vayigash can be translated and understood in three different ways. This is what the Midrash says. Rabbi Yehuda Omer, Higisha lemilchama. Rabbi Nechemya Omer, Higisha lefius. Rabbanin Omrim, Higisha letfilah. Rabbi Yehuda says that the word to approach means to approach in battle and in war. Rabbi Nechemya says the word to approach means to approach in reconciliation, to make peace. And the rabbis say that the word to approach, Vayigash, means to approach in prayer. The word Vayigash, according to the rabbis, has three possible meanings, drawn from three different biblical sources: to do battle, to seek peace, and to pray. So how do we understand Vayigash right now? The first, in battle. You might remember Shulamit Magnus. She was a former member of our congregation, a Jewish studies professor at Oberlin, who made Aliyah some years ago, following in the footsteps of her own son, Natan, who grew up in our congregation. He was bar mitzvahed right here. He moved to Israel, made Aliyah, became a lone soldier. Now, Natan is married, he's a young father, and he's serving in the reserves in Gaza. And Shulamit sent me this poem this week. This is a poem from a soldier's mother, and this is Shulamit's life at this moment. Quote, The poem is from Hadassah Sabo Milner, written in the last few weeks, called From a Soldier's Mom. I text you daily when I awake, at 3 a.m., 4 or 5, just checking in. I say, love you. In those words, what I'm really saying is, have you eaten? Have you slept? Are you drinking? Are you safe? I'm worried about you. Are you warm? Are you dry? I want to ask what you've been doing. Is it your unit that's been in the news? Have you seen action or been away from it all? I know I don't want to know the answers and you'll never tell me, but I crave all the information, even though we all know I can't handle it. You finally text me back, love you. And that tells me all I really need to know. You're safe for now, and that has to be enough. Vayigash, to do battle. The second meaning of Vayigash, to approach, means for reconciliation and return for peace. I'd like to share the story of abducted hostage Naama Levi. Naama is 19 years old. She was abducted and taken hostage by terrorists in Gaza 11 weeks ago. On Wednesday, October 4th, Naama finished her basic training. And on Thursday, October 5th, she went to the base called Nahal Oz on the border of Gaza to start her career in the army as an observation soldier. She arrived at that army base on Thursday and was taken hostage on Saturday. Her last text with her mother was at 6:55 a.m. These words, "We are in a secure space. I never heard anything like this in my life," describing the gunfire and the rocket fire outside her safe place. Her parents were actually planning to visit her later that morning. On Shabbat, it was her first weekend on the base. Hours later, a Hamas video appeared online showing Naama with her hands tied, her pants covered in blood, smeared in dirt, bare feet, being pulled by her hair from the back of a black pickup truck and pushed into the back seat. The family is hopeful. They say that Naama is strong. She is a triathlete. Rigors of training, pushing past obstacles, traits they are hoping will help her withstand the trials that she is facing now. Naama is the great-granddaughter of Holocaust survivors, and as a teenager, she participated in many peaceful programs with Palestinians called Hands for Peace, a project where she traveled to the U.S., working hand in hand with Palestinians seeking peace. It is our hope and our prayer that there is Vayigash, reconciliation, and reunion. Her mother is Dr. Ayelet Levi Shachar. She is the physician for Israel's women's national soccer team. And she has been traveling the world to share Naama's story so that she can be reunited with her daughter and we can bring them all home. The last of meanings of Vayigash is Latfilah, for prayer. And of course, that is what we have been doing every single day and every single moment. Our portion and the words of Rabbi of Judah is meant to be and understood as words of forgiveness, of reconciliation and reunion. Rabbi Lord Jonathan Sachs of blessed memory writes that there are moments when the world changes and then there is possibility in this world. In this week's Parsha, that is one of those times. When Joseph finally reveals his true identity to his brothers, there is a dramatic and an emotional reunion. This is the first moment in history in which one human being actually forgives another. Quoting Rabbi Sachs, "A new form of morality is born after admitting the wrong committed, admitting collective responsibility. Judah speaks up and offers himself as a hostage in place of his brother Benjamin, saying, 'Take me instead.' Our Parsha's moving story of reconciliation and reunion, of admitting mistakes and taking responsibility. Humanity changed the day that Joseph forgave his brothers. The moral life is one that makes room for forgiveness. This has been a very difficult week. Our hearts are so heavy hearing the news of the death of the 3 escaped hostages in Gaza, accidentally killed by IDF soldiers. You should know that there are many IEDs, many explosives that have been set by Hamas terrorists throughout Gaza, and they are putting suicide vests on Gazans and sending them out in front of IDF troops, and the soldiers are extremely on edge. And you may have heard the story that one of the hostages that was killed, Yotam Chaim, that his mother Iris, sent a message to those soldiers who accidentally killed their son. And this is what Iris said to that battalion. I am Yotam's mother. I wanted to tell you that I love you all very much. I hug you here from afar. I know that everything that happened is absolutely not your fault. No one's fault except that of Hamas. May their name be wiped out and their memory erased. I want you to look after yourselves and think all the time that you are doing the best thing in the world, the best thing that could happen, that could help us, because all of Israel needs you healthy. Don't hesitate for a second. Don't think that you killed a hostage deliberately. You have to look after yourselves, because only that way can you look after each and every one of us. You are invited to come to be with us, whoever wants to. We want to see you with our own eyes. We want to hug you. We want to tell you that what you did, however hard it is to say and sad, it was the right thing in the moment. No one will judge you. No one will be angry. Not me, not my husband, not my daughter. Not Yotam, may his memory be for a blessing. We love you very much, and that is all. So what is the answer right now? How do we, Vayigash, approach this moment? Is it war? Is it reconciliation? Is it forgiveness? Is it prayer? Or is it all of the above? Let's continue to share their stories. Let's continue to stand for Israel. Stand strong. Pray for their release. Bring them all home now. Shabbat Shalom.